Hey there, this is Jodi Clock and welcome to my podcast, I Woke Up Dead, Now What? In our conversations, we'll talk about real issues that everyday people face should they wake up dead without a life after death plan in place. Join me as we explore the how-tos on preparing for you or your loved one's passing without breaking the bank. And let's not forget about those pets too. Now, don't you fall asleep. Hey, this is Jodi Clock, and thank you for listening to I Woke Up Dead, Now What? Today I'm going to talk about something that might sound strange. However, it's very, very real. My topic is called Defending the Dead. And I don't mean in a fist fight kind of defending the dead, but I had just a wonderful experience, and I'd like to share it with you. A while back, I was fortunate enough to have coffee with clergy. What I'm trying to say to you is that I had a roundtable discussion with clergy from all different faiths in Southwest Michigan. This group was really diverse in age, gender, years of service, and what I really liked most was their perspective. For purposes of this podcast, I want to focus in on the community, and when I say community, I mean parishioners and the caretakers who attend to these individuals who are reaching the end of their earthly life. Many interesting topics were talked about, but there were two main themes that kept circulating back. One was defending the deceased individual, hence defending the dead. And the second one was unresolved grief. One of the common denominators each spiritual leader experienced regularly was that death simply wasn't convenient. Yep, that sounds kind of harsh, but there's a lot of truth to that remark. I mean, think about it. In today's world, many families are non-traditional. Our lives they're scheduled. In fact, they're overscheduled. They're also fast-paced. Toss in the unexpected things and all chaos breaks loose. I mean, let's be honest. When a loved one dies, it interferes with our daily routine. This doesn't mean that the decedent wasn't loved. It just means all those well-made plans and schedules, well, they're out the window. For years, death care professionals have longed for the ill or the elderly to die Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Yep, my husband and I have been trying to make that happen so we can get some sleep, but not so much. So sorry about my attempt at humor, but that is the reality of the situation. It just simply means we can't schedule our own death. All right, the states with assisted suicide, maybe. But in the big picture of life, and at the risk of being blunt, having a baby isn't convenient, and neither is when someone dies. It will happen when it happens. So why do we feel that the deceased need to be defended? Well, their life mattered. This person may have given you life. They have saved lives. They maybe made a difference in someone else's life. Societal norms have reduced the death to someone's mother, father, sister, brother, to a commodity, monetization transactions, possibly for an immediate cremation with the gathering to be held at a later date. That doesn't mean I'm against cremation, but gathering to be held at a later date. It's not uncommon for the deceased next of kin to ignore the pre-planned service that someone had made out. In fact, they might have paid for it. Why? Well, their rationalization comes from various reasons. They might feel that their parent outlived their friends. They stopped going to church. The money could be put to better use. There was a divorce in the family. Or you know what? It's just not convenient for the family to get together. You know, the grandson's in the military, somebody lives in the West, somebody's out of the country. You name it, they'll say it. But these are all excuses. Let's put this in perspective. If a person cared enough to prearrange and pre-fund their funeral, that was done out of love for those they leave behind. I want to say that again. If a person cared enough to prearrange and pre-fund their funeral, it was a gift of love. Just because this person is no longer living does not mean their final wishes should not be honored. If a person outlived their friends, chances are they're in a care facility, or back in the day, they participated in church. Why not move the service of celebration to the care facility and invite the people who work there to come? Maybe invite some of their church members. As far as the family not being able to attend, with technology today, anything is possible. Streaming and live taping happen all the time. If someone is in the military, they can be granted leave. If not, they can take advantage of technology. And finally, waiting to celebrate at a later date rarely happens. The best intentions are there, but life gets in the way. It's important to know the reason that the clergy at the table became incredibly passionate. It was because there's a byproduct that happens when you don't honor the life lived. It's called unresolved grief. The impact of unresolved grief can be devastating, even debilitating. In layman's terms, it's no different than PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder. In closing, my plea or call to action is to simply honor and celebrate the life that was lived. It doesn't matter the how. It can be at a church. It can be at a funeral home. It can be at the event center, the VFW, a backyard picnic. Heck, it can be on a boat. But please, I beg you, gather together and share the stories that will keep a person's legacy alive for future generations. If there was a prearrangement, please honor the spirit of the arrangement. Life can't be so rigid. There's no guaranteed tomorrows. It's okay to redirect, or the new buzzword pivot, when births, illnesses, and death occurs. So please consider honoring the life lived. And thank you for joining me. And I am glad you didn't wake up dead today. Hey, if you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode. And for that, I want to thank you. And I am so glad you didn't wake up dead today. Please jump over to jodiclock.com and download your free copy of my family care plan. This guide will help those you leave behind should you wake up dead. I promise. Be sure to order my book, It's Complicated, based on a true story. Send me an email about topics you'd like to hear in future episodes. Until next time, thank you for not falling asleep.